Hello, are you here to debate?
I am here to debate.
All right. Can I just get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Derek, 34. I don't do pronouns.
I'm sorry, say that last sentence one more time.
I said I don't do pronouns.
Oh, I is a pronoun, just so you're aware.
Okay, yeah. I that got me.
All right. Well, what are you here to debate about?
I want to hear this abortion up to 9 months debate. How can you stand by that?
Sure. I believe that at the end of the day, abortion is a decision of a pregnant person. A pregnant person can decide at any point not to allow somebody to use their bodily resources, especially live inside of them. Up to 24 weeks, I believe that they have no obligation to the fetus in any way. So we can have any type of abortion they want. After 24 weeks, once the fetus has the capacity for sentience, I would say that they should err on the side of caution now. And unless stated otherwise by a doctor, that we should attempt abortion methods that would keep the fetus alive. But they can still remove the fetus at any time.
So you're okay. So you're calling abortion just removing the fetus from the body. It's okay. You don't support killing the baby.
After 24 weeks, I say we probably should not kill unless there's a justified reason, such as they won't survive going through a typical birth. They may have infection. They may have whatever it might be. I would say err on the side of not killing it, but there will still be some justified means of like having to kill it, and I wouldn't say no to those. I would just say after it has the capacity for sentience, let's err on the side of caution. But prior to
So
24
why do
weeks,
you
I
think
don't
it's
care.
okay? Gotcha. So why do you think it's okay to murder the baby the first 24 weeks?
I wouldn't consider it murder because I would consider it a justified killing. So I wouldn't consider it a murder. Murder, I would consider to only be unjustified killings. I'd say killing something to remove it from your body because you no longer consent to it being in your body is a justified act.
I've never heard justifying killing something that you put there. I don't know how you could call that justified.
Well,
Based on what moral
I don't believe they put it there.
are you standing?
I don't believe they put anyone there. Right prior to 24 weeks, I wouldn't consider the fetus a person. So is that there's no person there. It's just a human body, and I don't really care about killing a human body.
Based on what
What makes sense?
moral ground is that a human body and not a person?
Well, because person would dictate some level of personhood. When we say personhood, we're talking about like what encompasses being a person, not just what encompasses being a human. So something can be a human and not a person, right? Um, so I would say until they have this level of sentience where they're starting to experience the world around them, I wouldn't consider them persons. I would just say they're a body. They're akin to a brain dead person. Like there is nothing there.
So we're good for killing people in comas based on that then.
People in comas would still have the capacity for sentience. They'd even some may even still be able to redeploy that sentience at some point. But a brain dead person, yeah, I would absolutely pull the plug on somebody that's brain dead and just let their body pass. Right? There's no reason to keep them alive. The person's gone. The only reason to keep somebody alive that's brain dead would be if like the family wants to say goodbye or something, or we're keeping their organs fresh for harvest.
But you would agree that the I guess human body you're calling it the first 24 weeks will eventually have sentience.
Yeah, but I don't care what it will eventually have. I care about what it currently is has the capacity for, not what it will eventually
So
have the
then
capacity for.
why do you care about what the person in a coma will eventually have? You should just be able to kill that one justifiably too.
Because the person in the coma currently has the capacity. The capacity it's just not deployed. They have the capacity for sentience. They just haven't deployed sentience. It's like so. A way I'll describe it is, imagine I have a car with no engine, right? Even if I turn that key over, that car does not have the capacity to start. The engine's gone. But let's say I have a car with an engine. That car now has the capacity to start. I just haven't deployed that capacity yet by starting the car. So a fetus prior to sentience is the car without the engine. A coma patient is somebody with the engine. It just hasn't started. I haven't started the car yet.
That's hard for me to get behind. It sounds like you don't believe in human rights. And I guess I'll go back to the first thing you said. You don't believe they put them there. Who do you believe put them in the body?
I believe it's a biological process. So you don't have any control over it. Like whether you're going to get pregnant or not, it's a biological process. So you can do all the
You don't
steps,
have
you can take all the steps in the world to prevent pregnancy, right? And still get pregnant. Or you can do everything wrong and you can have no contraception, you can splidangle on every day of the week and still never get pregnant. So because it's a biological process, I don't fault people for a biological process.
that is okay. So if it's not it's a biological process. What causes that biologic process?
Insemination would cause pregnancy. Insemination would be caused by sex.
So I mean, they're putting it there with their insemination and the whole process there.
Sure, but they don't control whether or not someone gets pregnant, which is why I would not fault them for it. Right? I would not tell somebody that they can no longer say who gets to or not to use their body because of a biological process that they were kind of that they have no control over.
But they have control over it.
They don't. It's going to
I mean,
happen.
they
It's
had
going to
sex
happen whether they wanted to or not.
and got pregnant.
Quick question. Just
Go ahead.
confirming, do you believe that somebody who is raped should be able to have an abortion?
No, I don't believe in that.
Then you don't actually
I
care
think
whether or not they. Then just real
Punish
quick.
the rapist to death.
Wait, real quick. Then you don't actually care about whether or not they put a fetus into their body and whether they had sex. Because even if they didn't have
No.
sex, even if they didn't have sex, you would still say they shouldn't have an abortion. So however the pregnancy got into their body does not actually matter in terms of your argument.
It doesn't in mine. That's correct. I believe that God
Correct.
made all humans equally, and they all have rights. And the only justifiable killing would be if that human violated another human's rights. In case of the rapist, that human should
I
be
believe
punished
that
to
a
death.
fetus is violating the pregnant person's right, and that right would be their right to bodily autonomy, specifically the right to decide what does or does not live inside of their own body.
How can a fetus would know? I'm trying to get this word you're saying. Sentience? If the fetus has no sentience, how can it violate someone?
In not only okay, so when I use the word violate, I simply mean that this fetus is acting against the rights of the other person. Now, whether that action is what's the word I'm looking for? Whether that action is conscious or not doesn't matter. The action is still happening. It's still acting against what this person desires, which would be to not be pregnant. They do not want something growing inside of their body. Therefore, they should be able to not have something growing inside of their body.
I can't. I think if this was a negotiation, I think we'd be too far apart. Two different worlds almost. It's,
well, I do want to just point out,
and I don't think I could convince you.
Well, I just want to point out every argument that you've laid out, I have dismantled like pretty effectively.
Well, no, you're just saying that you don't believe that a human, even though it's growing like all humans in its first stage, isn't a human. You're just calling it a fetus.
I've never not called it a human. I've never not called it a human. It's definitely human.
Oh yeah, but you feel like it doesn't have rights because it's not sentient, right?
Some human beings do not have rights. Yes.
And then at 25 weeks, it gets rights based on your
when it gains the capacity for
we,
sentience, it gets rights. Because what are rights? Rights are just rules about how two sentient creatures should engage with each other. Why would I grant rights to something that is yet to be sentient?
But I'm saying, how can you grant rights? You don't have that power.
Nobody has the power to grant rights. Rights are just
exactly.
Again,
but why do
rules.
We all believe?
Rights are just rules on how we engage with other sentient creatures. When I say grant rights, I'm just saying whether or not I give something moral consideration. I don't give moral consideration to things that don't have rights.
What moral are you standing on? If you don't have God saying that these are the morals, we all have the 10 Commandments written in our heart, and we know it's bad to murder. You're just making up I guess, 24 weeks, that's the cutoff. Like, what standing do you have? The Big Bang process told you that, or like, where do you
I
get
don't need God to tell me what is or is not right. I determine my morals based on harm principles, based on like logical reasoning, and based on like scientific evidence is how I'm going to like come to a conclusion about morals. Essentially, the biggest thing is like the golden rule, right? I know what harm feels like, so I know not to perpetuate harm to something else, because I know what it feels like to be harmed. I don't need a god to tell me this. If I need a god to tell me how to act, then I'm not really a good person. I'm just listening to somebody tell
Well,
me what to do.
I won't get into the Christian debate, but we're not. No one's a good person, but we'll go. We'll go. No one's free from sin, but we'll go back to, I guess, yeah, you're assigning it based on harm. If the baby can feel harm, then you're harming that baby. You're killing it between 24 weeks. We know it has feelings before then. Has a heartbeat at, I guess, what, 6 weeks, right?
Fetuses prior to 24 weeks do not have the capability to experience harm. Scientifically, like they don't. Like medically, they don't have that ability. The
I'm going
nociceptors
to do
that
research on that. I
form,
don't feel like that's true.
it is the connections that form between the nerves, like the pain sensors, and your brains don't even start formulating until 24 weeks. Between 24 and 28
So if,
weeks will be when those form. So they can't even feel pain
I
if they
guess
wanted
I'll
to.
apply that to someone who can't feel. There's people that can't feel pain, or I guess they're numb to certain pain. Is it okay to harm them if they can't feel it?
No, because they are experiencing other things. Pain isn't the only experience. Like they can experience emotions, they can experience joy, laughter. They might experience the sun hitting their skin in like just the right way so that it makes them think of grandma's warm cookies, right? Like we experience a whole lot of things as people. But prior to sentience, the capacity for sentience emerging, we don't experience anything. We don't have it's literally impossible for us to experience prior to us having sentience. It's impossible. It is like physically an impossible thing.
So if science finds out tomorrow that we get sentience at 2 weeks, you change your position.
No.
Why not? I'm
Well,
saying
so
if it happens, if they
sentience
say,
is telling me the type of abortion that you can have. So I would just say, okay, then you can still just take it out, right? You just take out the fetus, like whenever it is sentient, right? Sentience is only dictating to me the type of abortion. It's not dictating to me whether you can or cannot have an abortion. I think you can get an abortion at any stage of pregnancy. You can remove it because you, as the person who's pregnant, have the express ability to consent whether or not to keep something in your body if you do not want it in your body.
so you're saying remove it, and what do they do with it afterward? Just let it
If it's
die
two
there,
weeks, it's
or
gonna die. It can't support itself.
so? I mean, it's still murder,
No,
but
letting it die because it can't wait. I disagree. I think letting something die that cannot maintain its own life processes is different than killing something.
I mean, it's just like, okay, so if I have a baby now and it comes out the womb at 9 months and I leave it on the counter, it's gonna die. It's murder. It's child neglect. I'll
So
go to jail, right?
the baby outside of the womb can engage in homeostasis. The fetus cannot. The only thing that you have to provide a
Well,
baby is like food, typically food, water, things like that. This is going to be vastly
I
different
got you.
than what a pregnant person does for a fetus, which is completely maintain a fetus's homeostasis. A fetus cannot regulate its own internal body temperature. A fetus cannot, up until a certain point, it can't even digest its own food. It can't do any. It can't breathe its own oxygen. It needs the pregnant person to like regulate its oxygen intake. Can't do any of this, and this is vastly different than just like I'm feeding a person, right? But again, when
Yeah.
it comes to something living inside of your body, you still have the express permission to take it out at any point because it's inside of
So
you.
I got you. So you're saying after, so it's 25 weeks, you believe you can take it out and just let it die.
At 25 weeks, it has a very high likelihood of survival, so it's probably not going to die.
So okay, so at 25 weeks, you're going to take it out, put it in a NICU, or you're going to deliver it through vaginal or I don't know, C-section, and then you're going to put it in a NICU and let nurses and doctors take care of it,
Typically, you would do
or
a
what?
hysterotomy or an induction abortion at that point, and both of those can be done like non-lethally. So yeah, we put it in the NICU, and somebody takes care of it and just keeps it alive.
So it's technically not an abortion.
I
You're
define
saying birth the
abortion.
baby at 25 weeks
just
and
really
take care of it for the rest of its life.
just really quickly, I define abortion the same way Harvard Medical does, which is just the removal of the contents of the uterus via medical means. Typically, I think like the actual definition is like the removal of pregnancy tissue, products of conception, and placenta and afterbirth from the uterus, right? So like as long as medically you're doing this through some like medical procedure, I would consider this an abortion. If it's like a natural birth, I wouldn't, but like anything else, I would probably consider an abortion.
Yeah, I get it. I get you with your words and your studies, and the next smartest person can change what it means tomorrow, I guess, and you'll believe that based on science. But so
Well, yeah, I would tend to
so
follow
when
the
they get rid
scientific
of
evidence. Yeah,
when go ahead, what?
I said I would tend to follow scientific evidence. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. And then so the 25-week baby comes out or is aborted based on what you're saying, and they take care of it. And I guess it goes up for adoption or what, they just didn't want it in the body. So, I mean, I can get on your team.
Some people would probably take it home, take the babies home. They might just not want to be pregnant for a litany of reasons, right? There could be many reasons why they just don't want to remain pregnant at that point, or they might not be able to remain pregnant at that point. And I'm sure some might go into the system possibly.
I got you. So now I just gotta. I feel like we're on the same page there. So if we go from 24 weeks down to 3 weeks, or 0 weeks, then we got to get to the sentience. If they do have sentience at 3 weeks, but they can't survive on their own afterwards, you still think it's okay to abort them?
Yes, because the overarching principle here is that you do not need to keep another person in your body without your express consent. That's the overarching principle. The sentience is just sort of like a guiding principle of the type of abortion we would do.
I got you. So then why would that not be child neglect at that point if they do have sentience and they can't survive outside of the womb?
Well, because child neglect doesn't count for kids whose bodies physically cannot keep themselves alive, right? Like if I have a kid who's got like a disease, who's born, and then they become 3 years, they're born, they reach the age of 3, and then they get an incurable kidney disease, and their body physically kills them because they can't maintain their life. You wouldn't get a neglect charge for that, right? A fetus at 2 weeks physically cannot keep itself alive. Like it's impossible. So you're not going to get a neglect charge because the body physically can't keep itself alive.
Yeah, it's a stretch for me. It's a stretch. I like your points. I'm not going to agree with it. Um, but yeah, interesting thought process. I think the abortion at 9 months is a good pull in, but you have some kind of cutoff there, and that's nice.
All right.
I
Was that
will
all?
say that this is the only human right that we haven't given to everyone. You know, so I'm not one of the pro-lifers. I do believe in the abolition of abortion. I don't think it should be legal in any case, but I like your standpoint.
Can I just, what do you mean by this is the only human right we don't give to anyone?
I'm saying this is the only one in America, that the human rights that everyone is the right to life. We make it legal to kill babies in the womb.
So just two things. One, I think when you use the phrase like, well, we're killing babies, like you're just sort of appealing to like some intuitive emotion that people have, right? It doesn't really tell me anything. It's like I can say, oh, well, you're killing women because you're forcing them to remain pregnant, right? Like it really don't like.
No, we're not killing them.
Well, we are. We've seen
They're naturally
the maternal
born to do that.
mortality. No, the maternal mortality rate has risen in states where abortion has been banned. So yes, I can very easily say yes, women are dying because you are restricting abortion access. Women are actively dying. This is an active thing that is actively happening. But I don't, because I think this is just an appeal to emotion. Like it doesn't boil down to like the core tenets of the argument, which is abortion moral or not? And I don't believe you've laid out any principle to actively show why abortion would be immoral.
Well, I'll say that abortion is immoral because I'm coming from a religious argument that God made all people and that He made them in His image, and everyone has the right to life. So if you're taking that life, regardless of sentience or whenever you think that person has value, then it's immoral.
So there's a few issues here now with this premise, right? You're saying abortion's immoral because of God, but you also want to make abortion illegal. But we also have separation of church and state in this country. So you can't make something illegal just because you believe you have a religious belief that this should be marked wrong. What if I'm a really
Well,
devout Christian who fully believes in the scrutiny of the Bible and says, well, no, it needs to be illegal, 100% illegal, to wear fabrics of two different cloth. That needs to be restricted because God says you can't do that because it says so in the Bible, right? We would both look at that person and go, well, you can't really do that. You're not allowed to dictate what other people do legally because you have an objection to it based on a religious backing. You need to come with more than that.
well, I'm saying that it's not the same as cloth. We're talking about human life, and the Bible, it says that Old Testament, but it clears it up also in the New Testament. But I don't think a devout Christian would make that a law. I think all of our laws in America are based on the Christian Bible, but
They're
there
not.
is a separation of church and state, but it's not as clear as you're saying it.
So just real quick,
Of course, we can't force religion.
our laws are not based on the Christian Bible, like at all.
I'd argue that they are. I guess.
They
I mean,
are.
why is it illegal to murder?
It was
Where did that
illegal.
come
You know, it
from?
was illegal to murder in societies well before Christianity was a thing, right?
Which one?
Ancient Mesopotamia, it was illegal to murder people.
And
Ancient
what religion did they have?
They were spiritual. They believed in like a whole litany of gods and monsters.
And was it based on their religion though?
I don't know if it was based on their religion or not. I mean, you can look at ancient Greece. It was wrong to kill ancient Greece, but fucking Zeus didn't come down from the heavens and tell people killing was wrong. In fact, he and the gods did it all the time, and dictated people to do it in their honor all the time. They had no problem with killing,
Yeah.
but killing was still legally
I
considered
think
wrong. And the reason why I think most societies tend to have some intuitive nature into like why killing is wrong. I think most people recognize that if you just go around killing people, your society is going to fall apart. So it's less about some holy God principle and more about just recognizing that like society kind of needs people to stay in line or it's going to collapse.
I think it's not killing. We're not going to say killing. We'll say murder is wrong because justifiable killing has been the same in all religions. If they can justify it based on religion, it's fine. But killing or justifiable killing isn't murder. So if we separate those two, then I think a lot of laws are
What
based
is or
on
is
religion.
not a
To
justifiable
me,
killing is just a legal definition, right? Our government decides what is and is not justifiable.
yeah, and I'd say our government is based on our founding fathers who were Christians.
The founding fathers were deists. So yes, they
They were
believed
what?
in God. They
One,
were deists.
I think Benjamin Franklin maybe was
Jefferson
one.
was a deist as
Was a
well.
deist, but I don't think all of them.
Jefferson was a deist as well. The core principle that America was founded on, well, one of the core principles that America was founded on, was the ability to escape religious persecution. Why would these people say, hey, we're going to build a country to escape religious persecution, but then force people into a specific religion? They didn't do that.
Well, what were they getting? What were they being persecuted on? Which religion?
It wasn't the Puritans, was it? Who was the? It was whoever was the first people
Well,
coming over here.
Protestants, right?
They were whatever they were still escaping religious persecution.
Yeah, because they wanted their own religion, and then they thought everyone should be able to choose their own religion, but they were Protestant, most of them.
So you don't believe that the founding fathers founded the country on a model of separation of church and state?
I do believe that. I'm just saying that it's hard for someone because of my belief in God. It's hard for someone not to include the Ten Commandments because I feel like they're written on everyone's heart, which is why we believe that all of those things are wrong: stealing, killing, lying. All of that stuff is in there. We can't make a law about lying, but we do have it in the courts. You can't perjure yourself, stuff like that.
I'm just gonna fundamentally disagree when we look at like the Establishment Clause in the Constitution. The Establishment Clause literally says that the Congress can't make laws that establish a national religion or favor one religion over another. So because
I agree with you, but I still stand by my point that it seems to be based in more Christian than anything else?
I think just Christianity folded itself into, when Christianity formed, it folded itself into like regular principles people were already living under. And then Christianity claimed those principles, even though it didn't create those principles. It just said, yo, these are ours. We made these, even though we're taking them from a bunch of other people.
Maybe, but that's my moral standing for abortion. I don't want to get too far off track, but my moral standing for abortion is everyone's made in God's image, and it's a religious basis.
Sure, then you physically can't put that into law because of the Establishment Clause. You cannot make
Well, you can
we cannot
if
make
everyone
laws
has the right to life.
No. If you're saying abortion should be illegal because of my religion, and I sit over here and say, well, I have a religious belief that it isn't, then we can't make any rules based on abortion. We cannot make any law that establishes religious favorability. Instead, we have to say it should just be up to the person. If you're religious and don't believe in abortions, don't have one. You can't tell another person what they can or can't do.
Based off of. Go ahead.
I just said you can't tell a person what they can or can't do with their body.
Yeah. Well, we could make it off, that right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? If everyone has the right to life, then it's based in Christianity, but everyone should get that first initial right.
The right to life. Well, again, so we're gonna just brush into what I said before. Rights are granted to sentient creatures. Non-sentient creatures have no need for rights.
They didn't put sentient in the Constitution. They said the right to life.
Yeah, I know they didn't put sentience in the Constitution, right? But when we're talking about the right to life, we have to determine what does and does not have this right. Do you think a tree has a right to life?
No, but a tree is not a human.
Why do only humans get the right to life?
Because only humans are made in the image of God.
Okay, so play a hypothetical with me. Superman shows up tomorrow. Superman doesn't have a right to life?
No.
No? Superman doesn't have a right to life. I think know
is
that
he a human? Maybe he's a different human. I don't know.
Well, he's not a human. We know that. He's an alien.
Exactly. So
are you not seeing that there's a flaw here, right? Because as soon as something shows
Superman's not real. Like, what are we talking about?
Okay,
there's no flaw.
Okay, but hold on. Most likely aliens exist, right? We kind of know this, like, just based on the laws, based on the laws of probability. Most likely aliens exist. An alien shows up tomorrow. We just have the right to kill that alien? He's walking, breathing, talking to people, saying how he loves Judd Apatow movies, and we're just going to be like, no, well, we can just kill him because he's not human. This doesn't make sense logically. This logically doesn't track.
I mean, you're stretching it there. You're stretching it because we haven't seen this happen. Then maybe 200 years from now, your argument will be that'll be a good one to bring up. But right now,
just because we haven't seen something yet does not mean that we can't think about our logical principles and how we would act if we saw this thing, right?
So you believe in God?
No, not at all.
Come on, why not?
I've been shown no evidence that God exists, so why would I believe in him?
But just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean he's not there.
What? If you want to ask me hypothetically what I would do,
alien argument.
No, because I'm asking you hypothetically what you would do if this happened. If you want to say, Jovan, hypothetically, what would you do if God showed up tomorrow? I'd curse him out. But like, if you want to, like, that doesn't mean I believe he currently exists. No.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch.
It's not a stress. It's stretch. It's
if
like
you want me to believe that
aliens
come and we can't kill them,
I'm not asking you to believe.
Like
wait, I'm not asking you to believe if aliens come. I'm asking you is if they did, would you say that they are? Would you grant them the right to life? If E.T. showed up tomorrow, would you grant E.T. the right to life? I would. I would say
have
because
to believe
E.T.
that it exists first.
No, you don't. Here, let me ask you another hypothetical.
Okay.
If unicorns were real, would you kill a unicorn for its horn? Would you like stab it in the neck and like take its horn?
I wouldn't, but I'm sure somebody would sell that on the black market.
Okay.
And
how come?
I don't know.
How come you can engage with that hypothetical knowing unicorns don't exist? You couldn't engage with the other hypothetical
because I can engage with the alien hypothetical as well. I'm just saying that it's not standing for your argument.
Yes, it is. All it's doing is we're testing your logical set of beliefs here. Your logical set of beliefs is that the right to life can only be given to humans. So actually, let's just go even further. The right to life can only be given to humans. So can I just go out and start like unaliving every animal I see everywhere because they don't have the right to life? So like all the stray dogs because they don't have any owners, I can just put out, and it's totally fine. I can do whatever I want to these pets or these animals, and
I
it's
mean,
completely fine.
it may be property damage to some people, and
They
I
don't.
don't
They're not.
think
They have no owners.
it's right.
You don't
No
think it's
owners.
right? Why not?
I mean, you're probably
They don't have
cleaning up the
they don't have
street.
a right to wait. You said I don't think it's right. So why wouldn't it be right? They don't have a right to life, correct?
No, they don't. They don't. I mean, they're not. I don't believe they're made in the image of God. I don't think they have the right to life.
So then what's the issue?
I do think, don't kill them.
Why?
I like
they don't have the right to life.
I mean, I don't think there should be a law against killing stray dogs either. I think that happens all the time.
You think there shouldn't be a law dictating that people can't just go around like mass killing animals? What about dolphins?
Stray dogs.
Am I good for dolphins? Like, can I go into the ocean and just start plet out?
It probably wouldn't affect me much.
Yeah, I'm not asking if it would affect you.
I don't care about it because
for you to
it's not my neighbor. It's not a human being that you're killing. It doesn't have the same value to me.
I think I've correctly shown. That your principles don't hold up when put against different scenarios. I think I've adequately shown that.
Hypothetical, but I believe
yes, that's the way you test logic.
We can stand on two different
scenarios. Yeah.
Two different worlds.
Okay. Was there anything else?
No, I appreciate the time.
All right, no problem.
Thanks, man.
Come on now.